So, dear friends, those of you who were here for last Sunday's talk may remember that the title was At War with Peace. And we saw that our inner problems, the demons in our mind, they really are the destroyers of our peace. And so now we will move to a very related topic today, that how Mother Durga makes us overcome those obstacles and thus brings us to peace. She is fighting this war with the enemies of peace in us. So, and thus this is a war that brings us actually the peace. Outside we know many wars, those who support that war or instigate that war claim this, that this war of mine will be able to ultimately usher in peace. But that doesn't happen. We see one war gives rise to another. In fact, that justification for this kind of an effort, that yes, this is my war, this is to eliminate the evil people, and thus it will bring peace. We saw in last Sunday's talk that it really doesn't do that. In fact, the one who is waging this kind of war becomes another source of evil in society. So, and also we saw that in the world as such, on a whole world scale, it is not possible to make things all free of any conflict and completely peaceful. That is never going to happen. It is a false hope that someday all wars will stop. That will really instigate some other wars. It is because our whole human society and structure is dependent on various conflicts. We discussed that last time. Now we see that can there be no peace at all then? Yes, there will be peace. But it is by fighting the enemies inside. That is where the problem is. In Vedanta you will find this idea many times expressed, that what we call universe is really our reflection. And then if you try to change the reflection, you are not going to be successful. That if you see that your eyes, you are feeling some this pricking sensation, and so you go to in front of the mirror to see if there is something gone inside the eyes, where it is. And maybe you will see it in the mirror. But now if you try to remove it from mirror, it will not go. The irritation in eye will not subside. You can keep on trying as long as you want, but ultimately that effort is never going to be successful. So although the problems is seen to be there, actually it is here. And so when you solve it here, if you remove it from the eyes here, it goes in the mirror as well. So that is how the peace can be brought in our life. It is not possible otherwise to make the world as such peaceful. The world is our reflection. So when we become peaceful inside, then our world becomes peaceful. Everything then takes a very different meaning. And that is where on this auspicious day I want to discuss how Mother Durga does it. Mother Durga, you see, this talk is mainly based on Durga Saptashati, the 700 verses on Mother Durga, a very popular text. And usually I take it up on every such Durga Puja day. It has immense wealth of spiritual significance, very closely connected with our lives. And it begins with the story of two people who have lost all peace, very restless, agitated, and one of them is a king who has lost his kingdom due to conspiracies and attack by the enemy, and so the name of that king is Suratha. And he therefore was banished to the forest, and he came there. There was that ashrama, a hermitage of a sage. And while he was there, he met another man who was a merchant, a businessman. And he also was very downcast and seen suffering. So they both conversed and shared each other's miseries. This king was suffering because he was kicked out of his kingdom and yet was not able to give up the worries about the kingdom. The kingdom is gone, but the worries about the kingdom, they remain there. You know that story in Alice in Wonderland, you see, I used to marvel at that the cat vanishes, her smile remains, you know. So similarly, the kingdom is gone, but the king is still thinking about whether the treasury is being spent properly or not, and all my other friends and all that, how they are doing in the new dispensation. So it is all his mind was full of worries. This businessman, he was in a similar manner was thrown out by his own family members. But yet now, having been discarded by the family members, taken his whole money and everything was taken away, he still was thinking how now I am here, I don't know how my children are they doing well or not. The attachment doesn't go. It is, and so he was being very much tormented. So they both decided to approach the sage and find a solution. That is there a possibility of how we can come to peace ultimately. And it is said that the sage told that, look, we are all deluded by these nations and therefore are not able to see the truth. Everybody therefore has a fractured perception of the reality, I and the world. There is kind of a line of demarcation which we can never fix. Try, it is not possible. But we all feel there is I and there is world, and we rush to get the things from the world, get attached to those things, and thus keep on suffering. Everyone, all beings, so this sage begins with telling that you think that only human beings have the knowledge. Every creature has their own way of judging, and nobody is in that sense superior to others. All are attached in this world in their own way. All are caught in it. The birds, the animals, human beings, they all have their peculiar, very that special as such knowledge, characteristic knowledge which others do not have. Like dogs, they have their tremendous sense of smell. They don't see with the eyes, their eyesight is quite poor. Their sense of smell is what they recognize things by. And therefore, if they see the picture of a person on a TV, they don't recognize. But the smell, if a thing of that person is found, because of the smell, they recognize it. Human beings, they don't have such strong sense of smell. So they have different world, as it were. Many these birds which fly very high have very keen sense of sight. From that distance, say about 500 feet high, they can spot a little worm, a little insect hidden in the grass, and just dive and pick it up. Now they have a very developed sense of sight. So likewise, everybody, every creature has their own knowledge, and thus depending on that, they live their life. Their world is then consists of same basic thing, I and mine. When you have I and mine, the separation comes, a fractured reality. And how the two pieces are, I and mine. Which came first? A very foolish, ignorant question. Many times this question comes, though, although foolish, we ask whether when the world was created, all big scientists, they worry about it, when, at what time the Big Bang took place, as if I was not at that time, and then the Big Bang created the world. It is like tearing the paper, Which part of the paper came first? Can you say? The tearing means two coming simultaneously. So it is I and the world go together. Just as you cannot say when the dream began, when you see the dream, do you ever think that at this point the dream began? There is no beginning for a dream. So also there is not really any beginning for this world. I and mine, that separation is our universe, and because the I is different, everybody's world is also different, and each creature is confined, as it were, caught, as it were, in that world, bound slave, and yet the true nature being freedom, there is this struggle for getting free. This division kind of makes that person feel oppressed, and peace is lost. But there is therefore desire to be peaceful, because the intrinsic nature is peace. And so there is struggle for peace, because this question would come, that why do we really worry about getting peace? If there is really no peace at all, we should just give up the idea of having peace. Nobody can give it up. Everybody wants peace. It is, nobody will say, no, I don't want peace. It is a common thing that everybody seeks, I want peace. Why? Because our true nature is peace. And so this sage tells them, look, it is the impact of this divine nations, mother of the universe. Through that, everything has come up. So in that sense, that is, she is the mother of the universe. And so, it says here that Taya visrijyate vishvam jagade tacharacharam saisha prasanna varda nrinam bhavati muktaye. 56th verse of the first chapter, that it is she who, when propitious, becomes a boon giver to human beings for their final liberation. So that is this goddess. And then they both say, can you tell us more about this goddess? And then the sage says, okay, fine. We will get into that. And then they struggle. The internal war, as it were, begins. That first part of the war, it is this at a very subtle, subliminal level, that war is happening, where the two demons, they actually are created right from the creators this kind of residue. And so now they see that the God is asleep, the controller is asleep. Suppose you are driving a car and fall asleep. Don't have to try, I mean, but it is, yeah, it is. You can imagine what happens. So, similarly, this Lord, our true self, is not aware. The characteristic of sleep is that you are not aware who you are. So, you have lost that sense. And so, now in that sleep, I am not aware of my true nature, and these two demons came up there. The two is this duality, I and mine. And the two come up there. When the self is not there, then Madhukaitabha, these two demons, they as it were come up, and then they put you to no end of trouble. And so the prayer there, what does the goddess does here? How these demons were ultimately defeated was a simple thing here. Make the Lord wake up. And then when the Lord wakes up and the kind of war begins with these two demons. Now the style of this kind of literature, it is Purana. It means the truths are described or given through very nice stories. If things are told in form of stories, then people like to, listen. Look how many read Harry Potter. Imagine, how many read Kant. Nobody, you see, goes near that. But so if the truth is given through a Harry Potter-like story, then the story goes away. It is like, that you are given a shot, an injection. So the needle goes in, but the needle doesn't stay in. Needle just pushes the medicine and comes out. So the medicine goes in. So the story kind of comes out. The truth remains, goes inside. So the truth is being given in this form, in this story, that, okay, for 5,000 years, Lord is fighting with these two demons. Both are very powerful. And now this goddess sees that it is like this, the war will go on, because both are powerful, and Lord, of course, is not going to get defeated, but it is going on indefinitely. So what this goddess does is makes those demons a little bit forgetful of the strength of Lord. They become egotistic. And then they ask Lord, wow, we are pleased you are fighting with such valor. We had not seen such skills in warfare. We thought we are very powerful. So we are going to give you a boon. Ask boon from us. And Lord catches that moment. Oh, you are asking me to choose a boon? Okay, I choose the boon. I want your death. And thus they get killed. So this is a nice allegory, friends, that this you cannot just keep on fighting with this division. It is a non-existent division, and so how can you fight with an imaginary distinction? So, when that imaginary that distinction is in a state of lull, then you destroy it. You make that known as this Lord alone is. Your true nature, let it shine at that moment. So, don't yield to them, and when the chance comes, conquer them. That is, at the subliminal level, it is considered as a fight at the causal level. It is the ignorance in Vedanta is described as a three-layered ignorance. the truth is covered, but that covering has three layers. One is, and these three layers are called three bodies. The causal body, the subtle body, and then the gross body. So this bringing peace at the causal level, that there is nothing that like the weapons and the description that will come in the next chapter, that is not here. It is a war that is fought by the goddess without actually fighting. The demons, they get killed, and then the oneness is restored. And oneness is peace, you see. Is it not? Oneness is peace. Nobody is there to disturb you. So therefore, when you find terrible disturbance and you will feel, let me be alone, please leave me alone. One says also like that, leave me alone for I want peace. But you can never live alone, because your thoughts, your impressions, your desires, they come with you, and so you are still tormented even if there are no people around you. And you think that no people are around, so okay, after 5 minutes you start feeling more disturbance, take out your cell phone and start calling other people. So it is not just outer being with so many people. The peace is in this oneness. It gets restored and one becomes peaceful. So this war at this level. Then at the next level, there is the big ego. That ego is the symbol of that demon, Mahishasura. That it is, you can see in the picture there that the demon is being attacked and killed. That is in the like a very big buffalo. So Mahisha means buffalo. So that demon had taken that kind of form, but actually that is representation of ego, very powerful, and had conquered all the gods. Gods mean the demigods, who are the good tendencies in us, the noble tendencies, good tendencies. These tendencies, therefore, they acquire certain powers, but then when the ego comes, all these goodness in these good tendencies goes away, and they come under this swell of this demon, ego. And then whatever they had, they lose it. Their goodness is gone, and their powers therefore are gone, and then they start repenting and go to the Savior, that please do something to save us. This is what is happening. And what is done there? It is told that when they spoke to Lord Vishnu about it, then Lord Vishnu manifest into a very effulgent, shining, with tremendous splendor, and that splendor appears there. And then all other, the god of creation and the god of destruction, as it is said that Lord Shiva as well as Lord Brahma, they also add their splendor to that. And then the other demigods, Indra and others, they also start now adding their weapons and their splendor to this very effulgent form, which assumed the form of a goddess. And thus this goddess now is A very beautiful allegory is presented here, that it is just integration of our personality. All our different desires, our desires are of this form. One desire rises, along with that, the opposite desire also is there. And there is always, therefore, war, loss of peace. It is, therefore, what we need to do is to integrate all these forces. And thus, now this goddess, if you read this, it is so beautiful that how all the different powers now, they have not, earlier it is, this is my power. No, now it is the power of goddess. That ego is being renounced. Now, therefore, this goddess becomes very powerful, and with that integrated power now, this demon can be killed. The secret in our getting peace in life is very beautifully expressed here, that let there be this integration of personality. I many times refer to this wonderful book, Swami Yatishwarananda's Meditation and Spiritual Life. In that there is a nice chapter on integration of personality, that how when we integrate things, bring them together in harmony, then there is peace. If you bring them in conflict with each other, then there is loss of peace. So, our different faculties that we have, they must work in unison, not at loggerheads with each other. Our intellect pulls us in one direction, our emotions, if they are pulling us in some other direction, then we can imagine it will be just, we will be a torn personality. So, when that integration between our emotions and our intellect, our power of discernment takes place, then we can see that peace is restored. So, this is coming up of the goddess, and then this goddess kills that Mahishasura, the big demon, that demon of ego, and now all are given, or everybody, all these good tendencies, the demigods, they become very happy, and then they praise this Divine Mother for this accomplishment. They don't praise now themselves. Earlier they are praising themselves. Hey, how powerful we are, look. And now they have understood that it is not our victory. It is the victory of this goddess. So this ego is now defeated there, and the peace gets thus restored. We read this similar story in Kena Upanishad also, that these gods, they find it that they have conquered all the evil tendencies, and they feel that it is their victory, and they become very egotistic in their victory, thinking that it is our prowess. So to teach them the lesson, there is that the Brahman, the God, appears there in the form of a very lustrous being, and then they are kind of worrying that who is this lustrous being here? We must know who is he. And so they decide amongst themselves that this fire god, you go and ask him who you are. And the fire god says, hey, good, you see, every important work really comes to me. I am, because others really, every time first anything to be done, they send me. So already egotistic, his ego became puffed up more. And he went there, and then, but when you go to such a really very great personality, the power of that great personality makes you dumbfounded. It is, you do not feel like now talking at all. That before that you make all preparations. I will ask this, I will ask this, I will ask that to my spiritual guru and many other such. When I used to think that I will ask these questions, when I would go to ask, nothing, nothing would come out. So this Agni, this fire god, could not speak anything. And then that lustrous celestial being asks him, "Hey, who are you?" He had gone to ask, but gets asked, you see, "Who are you?" And then he said, "Well, I am the fire principle, I am Agni." And then, without actually being asked, he tells his degree also. I am so and so, MA, PhD. So it is, that was not really asked, but the fellow just to, and then he says, I am born with all knowledge, Jataveda. So, is it so? That lustrous being says, "Oh, is it? And then you great person with such long degree, what can you accomplish? Can you tell me in a nutshell?" And he said, "What do you mean? I can burn everything in the universe." Interesting. See, here is a thin blade of grass. Can you burn it? And then this fire thought that, let me prove myself. So again and again tried to burn that little blade of grass. Hey, could not do it. Why? It was not its power at all. It was the power, divine power expressing through it. That's all. So when that is withdrawn, nothing happens. Sri Ramakrishna used to give example that you see, if a pot with water in it and many veggies like tomatoes and potatoes put into it, and as the water boils, you see those dancing on the water, and they think, hey, how nicely we dance. It is all the power of fire. You put out the fire and their dance stops. So it is, we think we can do this, we can do that, and I can run the whole empire. What can you do? It is when God lets you do, that's it. So he came back. Similarly, the wind god, same fate he met too. So that is how ultimately their chieftain, Indra, he learns. He also went with that ego, but he had some patience and introspection. So he learns that yes, it was really our ego that was the problem. So that is how this demon is defeated by this goddess through integration. Yes, put it all together, remove that ego, and thus we will become victorious. Then the next is that the demons, that Shumbha, Nishumbha, the goddess kills them. This is a big war on the gross level. There the demons get multifarious. And so a lot of different, seemingly different demons are to be fought. And the one form there is very interesting. I will not go through all that. I am looking at the clock also. So it is that is Rakta Bij. Rakta Bij means it is the seed is in the blood, as it were. So you go to kill, and as you go to kill, a drop of blood falls on the ground, and from that a similar demon rises. It is some kind of a cloning technology, I think, that they had. So that program is there in each blood drop, and from that, another demon of exactly the same kind comes up. Now, how to kill? Uh, because you are going to kill means, you see, the blood will fall, and so instead of having just one demon, as many blood drops, so many same demons would come up, big army of those demons, and then it was a big problem. So this is what is a very good description of our desires, you see. Try, attack one desire, and you may think that that desire has been gone. If instead of that, now you have 100 others. So it is, that is how, if you go in an unscientific way to destroy desire, normally what people feel, that let me fulfill the desire and then it will go away. That is the common understanding about killing the desire. I have got this desire to eat ice cream, so let me eat ice cream and then that desire will go away. I have not found any person who has been able to conquer the desire in this manner. It is impossible. What happens is that it puts the seeds of that desire in many ways, and so the desires multiply, and we cannot really conquer them. That is, we can see this, and that is why this multiplication of desires takes place in life. Instead of just conquering the desire, fulfilling the desire, doesn't happen. They go on multiplying. Lord Krishna says about that in Bhagavad Gita, a very beautiful verse. A few months back, I had given a talk about it here, that doing business. Doing business. We should have a business mentality. And what kind of business mentality? He says, Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana. That faculty or that understanding which is business-like, it concentrates on one thing. Whereas those which are not business-like, bahushakha yanantascha buddhayo avyavasayinam, if you are not concentrating on one, and not any one of them, but the essence or summation of all these, where all these desires really meet, attack that, and then you can fulfill it. So that is how this demon was killed. That many times one of our teachers used to tell this, that and in a very beautiful way, if it is told renounce desires, then it kind of hurts, that, oh, we should, it is so nice, It is, our Chetananandji says that people have like that, so many desires come up, that he tells that one student, he said he goes to a yoga class there. You go to a yoga class, why don't you come here? There is, no, but that teacher, yoga teacher is so beautiful. So now the desires, they become multiplied, multifarious, so many things, you see. So it is, so find out that desire. Instead of renouncing, use the word, find your real desire. Other desires are just appear like desires. Had they been real desires, then getting that would have brought satisfaction in life. Why does it not happen? They appeared like desires, but were actually not desires at all. They were appearances of desires, and so instead of appearances of desire, go after the true desire. And what is that true desire? If you see, it is all are contained in that oneness. That is our true desire, to be that one absolute. What we really are. Go beyond this fictitious uh, fracturization of our consciousness into I and the world. And that is this killing of the demon. Don't let it multiply. Don't think that, okay, even if they multiply, I will kill separately all of them. No, again the same problem will come. So, unite them and remove that. Don't let any blood fall. That is how this demon was killed by the goddess. And on this auspicious occasion, friends, let us take inspiration from that and see how we can bring true peace in our life. It is, and when this peace comes, the world view also changes. As I was telling, it is the world is in a way just a reflection of us, and so when the thing is set right here, it gets set in right in the mirror also. My shirt buttons not in line, and if I try to put them on the mirror right, they won't never. But if I do it right here in the mirror also, it becomes all right. So when that peace is restored here, everything becomes peaceful, harmonious outside also. So, not in the sense that we foolishly think, but in the true sense, it becomes all peaceful outside as well. So, let us go about in the right direction to restore this peace. And friends, with this I conclude this talk.